Certain modern.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, do you sit and
Like because the neck shape also the Ibanez arm is very very large and thin, right? And then, but like the Joe Satriani model, it's like almost like a Strat, very round. So I kind of something in between. So it's good for the tapping stuff, also like for the pentatonics kind of.
that fast stuff you do.
Yeah, the fast stuff and also the traditional things or fusion so I can play different styles as well.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, do you sit down and talk guitars with Dave in terms of, Dave, I'm going to try this, and Dave, I'm using the Ibanez with the thin body, and I mean, does it get that specific
About
with you
the
guys?
specs, no. About the guitar, no. Because I'm not into that, It's kind of, for me, it's just a tool, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, just give me something so I can play.
Gotcha.
Of course, if it has to feel comfortable, sounds good, of course. But I'm not into, like trying different woods or whatever. Really, no.
Well,
I know, but but
He found it works.
Well, absolutely.
I did try the prototypes were mahogany. I tried mahogany and then the alder. Then I preferred the alder. So.
And then we get into the whole argument that's so popular these days about how tone wood doesn't exist and the wood doesn't make a difference. I hate those guys.
No. But the Dave's guitar, like the Corina, sounds different.
Yeah.
Like you can hear like. I don't know.
Sounds different.
Yeah, from the other ones.
So for all you people that say the wood doesn't make a difference, you're wrong. It makes a difference.
But I think it depends on the pickup.
Well, your
So, like, a lot
oscilloscopes
of
and all the rest of the stuff, I don't care. You're wrong.
pickups that, you don't have
Absolutely.
the wood.
Definitely, and I think ultimately it comes down to the guy playing the guitar, right?
The way you play, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You pick up Dave's guitar, you're going to sound like you, and then you pick up your guitar.
Totally.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then have the amps, you have all this things there.
Yeah.
All this equipment, fractal, whatever. So
Yeah,
you
the fractal
you
stuff
really,
is cool.
You can change so many things that.
Very cool.
Yeah, but I'm not the greatest guy to talk about guitar and wood and like radios and.
I missed the
I
process.
know, I'm not a guy that knows about wood and stuff, differences. Anyway.
So, I mean, what has that experience been like so far for you, kind of playing with Dave? And I mean, he's had nothing but just remarkable things to say about you. And
Oh yeah, oh, that's good.
you know that. I mean, I don't think I don't think he would suffer a fool a second if it, if he didn't have the chops and all that, and obviously the legacy of the kinds of players he's. So
Tough, huh? To be, playing all these solos, from legendary guys.
copying those Marty Friedman solos and.
Tough.
So for you,
it's a hard, tough job.
So for you, it's kind of learning it, then interpreting it, and just trying to make those kind of solos your own, or is it more kind of the fan wants to hear that Holy Wars thing, and I better play that?
Yeah, I don't know how close I play the solos. I try to play, I try to get the feel, but you can tell me more about it.
I think he's on the money, man. But you know what? He's got his own little style to it, though. You know what I mean? You've interpreted him correctly, playing him properly, but you bring your own flair.
Yeah. So I try to get the notes first, but when I grew up, I was never trying to really transcribe solos, like
really?
note per note. Never. I never liked it. I never felt like, because it's too difficult, it's too boring, to get like really. I kind of get the vibe and try to play something like, right? Because maybe I was too lazy, right? To like really listen, and then I didn't have it's not like nowadays you have the guys teaching you, YouTube note per note and all the books and
13-year-old kids playing like.
Yeah, so
insane.
well, we had like the song books, but song books were never accurate anyway. So I was trying to get the vibe of the solo and try to reproduce somehow all the guys that I like. So the same with these solos from Marty Friedman or Chris Poland. What I did was I was listening to them whatever they play, not the specific solo that I need to learn, just understand how they play. Even like Chris Poland, I was watching some videos from him nowadays. He's playing fusion and stuff. So okay, so I understand what they like. So, because if you start learning the solos, like Marty, you can. It's like kind of you have like. If you learn few solos, you can understand the way he builds the stuff, you know. And then the melodic sense is the best he does, you know, the melodies, you know. Yeah, so that's what I try to reproduce in a nice way what he did.
Absolutely.
But like the fast runs, I play the way I feel comfortable. I really don't know if I'm doing close or not. I don't know, the fast runs, because I think in the end it doesn't matter much.
No.
Maybe for some people, like, but
Some diehard guy there has to hear that,
Yeah.
but everybody
Yeah.
else, they just need to feel that it's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
So the melodies and the way he expressed and stuff.
Gotcha. And you're playing on the Dystopia record was
Oh,
really
thanks.
beautiful, man.
You know, the difficult thing of creating the solos, for me, because I'm really, let's say, like a Megadeth solo that people really like, Tornado of Souls, right? So there's harmony going on. There's like four chords changing, right? But most of the solos are like one vamp in one note in like a heavy riff, and it's very hard to create a solo on one chord for me.
I understand that.
You know. So it's like it keeps repeating the same riff, the same chord doesn't move, because when it moves from different chords, you can play the same note and it's something new, right?
Exactly.
The same note sounds different. So that's what happened in Tornado of Souls, because you're playing a melody against the chords that are moving. And then the other solos, then Dystopia is basically, all the solos are one riff, and one note riff. So it's very hard to, you have to really think and what are you gonna do here, because after you do like 1, 2, 3 solos, you need to have more vocabulary to create something melodic
I know what you're saying.
or that tells a story, but it's just one thing, you know, it's just one chord, one riff.
understand.
So that was difficult for me,
Interesting.
because I always, my solo albums, and then it was always a lot of chords,
Yeah.
progressions, you know, and it feels, that's what I, you know, feel, I feel comfortable.
Gotcha. The acoustic stuff on the new record was really cool too.
Thanks.
That was like a little different thing from.
Yeah, so that was, I was like listening to the riffs and how can I do a solo over this one chord, you know, like 16 bars of this one same riff, which that's the style, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a lot of, and then Marty's genius because he did like great solos. He's in this one note riff,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
like throughout the different
Absolutely.
songs.
So I mean, was that a comfortable experience for you, Kiko? I mean, doing the record and being on your first Megadeth record. And
Yeah, it was very comfortable. Yeah, I could say. I mean, it was completely new because I joined the band and then met the guys at the studio. Things were already happening.
Wow.
You know, so of course it was like, wow, it's like it's a new band, it's new guys, new studio, new engineers. Everything was new. You know, first time for me in Nashville. You know, everything was like new. You know, but and then I was there for a few days, and then they announced my name, right? They announced that I was
That
would
you
be,
got the gig. Yeah.
got the gig. I was already there, listening to the riffs, the ideas. So, they had a lot of songs kind of finished, some were not. So, and that was just, I was just, you know, absorbing everything,
Yeah,
you know,
gotcha.
understanding, you know. Before I say something, I think before you say anything, you have just to understand what's going on. What is?
I totally
So I was
understand.
listening to the new songs or the new ideas, the old songs, you know, like reading the comments of the fans about the old songs, the new songs, and reading about, you know, Dave's biography, and it was like really kind of understanding the whole thing. Because before I was, as a fan, I was a guy that, you know, I knew Megadeth, but not to be inside. You have to know really well. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, you know, like.
Offering your ideas. And
So, yeah, a little bit, yeah. Then I also couldn't understand what kind of ideas that I was bringing would work, and then some that was not.
Yeah.
Because At the end of the day, a band is a concept. A band is a concept. It doesn't matter if you know how to play 100 styles of music, but what's the concept of this band, and what can we put to keep this concept, and what is fresh, but it's still inside this, the frame of the concept of Megadeth.
I understand.
Which I think Chris Poland and Mark Friedman, they always brought something new, so it gives you some kind of a space to bring something new. That's when I put an acoustic guitar in the intro of the song, where I record a piano in the end. So there's this, you have space to do something, but still inside the concept, inside this frame. Yeah, so I was kind of understanding how far can, should I do a like Alan Holdsworth kind of solo or not? Maybe not. So like more Randy Rhoads kind of solo, or
Gotcha.
these little things, it makes a big difference.
So a song like Conquer or Die, I mean, Dave is open to that kind of a acoustic approach, and
since the beginning, because then I know, because he was giving some interviews and he mentioned the first time we met, when I went to his house, I got my acoustic guitar and I was playing, and then he was on the phone, and then he heard that, and then so like, oh, okay, he liked it, right?
Cool, yeah.
So when I was in the studio, he was always saying, "Wow, the acoustic guitar, you have to," but I didn't know what.
Oh.
So there's all the songs that we played acoustic, some acoustic stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And then I wanted to bring something with nylon, like acoustic, because I love playing nylon, classical guitar. So I wanted to do something, I didn't know what, but that's the first step. I think it fits if you do something nylon, classical, like an intro or something, an interlude. And then he came with the idea, Kiko, you should try to think about something that can highlight you on the album. So he came with the idea. Something like, something like Eruption. Something like, not, I was like, Eruption, wow, that's you put this, that's a tough job, isn't it? Just do another Eruption. Yeah, why not? So, just like, that's what work with him is like that. You just raise the bar really high,
Exactly.
like, do another Eruption now for the, tomorrow, we record. So then I was thinking what to do, and then I said, wow. And then one day I was like playing the acoustic guitar. I was all the time playing the acoustic guitar at the studio. So and then I showed him, I have this idea here, what do you think? And then we kind of developed together. Would be an intro for a song, but then in the end it's like a song itself, because it developed so well that it's like 3 minutes or 4 minutes.
That's cool. So Dave was more than willing, like you said, to allow you this space, and hey, let's focus on Kiko, our new guitar player, and give you that,
very nice
that spotlight. That's pretty cool. I mean, not all band leaders might do that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's cool.
But it's a guitar band. I think it's cool to have there's a lot of solos in songs.
A lot of solos.
And I think that's even if you do like a 3 minute guitar piece, it's still like inside the Megadeth concept, because there was always a lot of solos in the songs, like long instrumental parts, like Hangar 18 or whatever, So like huge instrumental parts, solos and trades off and stuff like that. It's inside though, but there's something different, because then it's acoustic, nylon, classical, intro. But it's still, the harmony is very Megadeth. The harmony is very dark, Frisian kind of. So
that's Dave's thing, is that Phrygian kind of harmony guitar thing. I mean,
I think I suggested that, but I suggested knowing that's the thing, I wouldn't, suggest something else.
Right? No, but I mean,
I maybe have suggested some other stuff. I don't remember now, But when I played that thing, I said like that. I think this really fits to Megadeth.
Yeah.
And then he said yes.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's cool. And that acoustic.
Because he has the feeling because I'm just like he is like in the band for 30 years, and I'm from 1 week.
Right.
So it's like he knows, right?
Absolutely.
So what's the vision, So I can't give any suggestion, but I was always like, do you think it really belongs to the Megadeth sound?
Yeah, yeah.
Is what, you know.
I get it. You know, and it's funny because I mean, we kind of know Dave's reputation. I mean, I've never met Dave. I've interviewed Dave 5 times on the phone, and he's always been incredibly cool. You know, but I mean, we kind of hear things about Dave, and he could be a little tough and opinionated. But the truth of it is, I mean, this is the band that he started, right? He's been in the band for 30 years,
Yeah.
and he's gone through these various players, and he's kept that integrity and that sound of the band. So people don't quite look at that, you know, the fact that guitar players leave or guys, you know what I mean? I think it gets a little bit of a bad rap, you know, especially now you're telling me, yes, Kiko, you know, do your acoustic guitar piece,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you know, I'll listen to your ideas. If they're not
Yeah.
right, I'm going to say no.
Of course,
they're right,
exactly. If we're
you know,
not
so, I mean,
good,
that-
it wouldn't be there. You
that's
know?
pretty fair, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
and then if I don't pay attention the whole Megadeth history or what is this frame, and then I put an idea that is good, sounds new, but it's
Yeah.
still inside the frame of the concept of the band.
Yeah.
He would say, no, this is not Megadeth, and he would be the guy to say what is Megadeth or not. What? It's not me. I'm just like a fan from outside or a member for 1 week. So I don't have the right to say, no, I think this is Megadeth. You know, that would be very stupid. You know, go in somebody's house and say, I don't like the color of your sofa. You know, why don't you change that? It's very stupid, you know. So you understand why there's a reason for the whole thing, and it's a very successful band. So
Exactly. You
because-
forget how
yeah.
successful
Yeah,
that band
so-
is. Exactly right. If it wasn't a successful band, it's like, hey, what,
like
does it really matter what
30
we do?
years to be in the business, you know, like that, you know, like touring and you know,
Yeah.
you know, with the normal ups and downs of any life, you know.
Absolutely.
Any-
Absolutely. So we're just we're a couple hours away from Megadeth going on stage here at the Hollywood Palladium. I mean, you've played millions of live shows, Kiko, but I mean, do you get nervous at this point? Is it absolute muscle memory? Do you think, oh my God, the first song, what do I play? Or
No.
I mean, does it ever?
It cannot be like that.
Can't be like that.
Yeah, no. If you're like, what I'm gonna play, no, that's
I mean,
wrong.
just for a
That's
brief
wrong.
second,
You have to
or-
be prepared. The first show, yes. The first show I did was Quebec last year, July last year. I was still doing all the stuff that I had to do, right? So I was doing a month tour in South America, and I had to learn the 16 new songs with all the Marty solos and all this stuff, expecting to be like all the diehard fans they want to hear note per note of all those solos.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an open air festival with 70,000 people, Canadian TV, and you know, full on. So, and then 3 days rehearsal. But the rehearsal, they know the songs. So they're like, okay, 3 days rehearsal, you know, if you rehearse or not, you know, like, so we play the songs, but you know, for them it's like, okay, another gig. For me and Chris was like, okay, that's huge. That's huge. And then how can I was just worried about not how to play, because you can practice and sit down at home and play, right? But how are you gonna play and be on stage for your first show and look like you are being there for 30 years?
Yeah.
You have to look like you have this,
Yeah.
you know, authority kind of, I would say, right? That you own stage like them, you know, like Dave and David. So that was I was concerned about. Okay, I have to go and then really know everything by heart. I have my techniques how to memorize stuff, and because you cannot have any scores or any. I could have papers on, you know, whatever, but it's all first rehearsal, everything memorized, all the parts and everything.
So when you look back on that performance, did you?
Well, now it's better, of course, because then, now it's better. It feels even more comfortable. But I didn't play any wrong, weird chord. That was
No.
my concern, you know,
It's amazing.
to play like something. Or forget the next part. What's the next part? Is the chorus or the verse or something?
Yeah.
So nothing happened. It was good. So, and that's So we didn't sound check for that show. I just got on stage for the show, and it was raining. It was slippery. It was like everything that could be wrong for show,
Wow.
you know. But the tax, the crew, everybody's like super top. So it's great.
incredible.
Yeah, it's great. We're ready.
Welcome, Jim.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank
cool,
you
man.
so much,
No
man.
problem. Brazilian music, they have a lot of good chords and a lot of things. Kind of grew up listening to some
Brazilian music?
yeah. George Benson, of course.
Yeah, that's
Nice guy. Inspiration. But I grew up kind of playing, like listening to this
Oh, yeah.
Brazilian stuff. Yeah, it's kind of Brazilian
nice.
stuff. Wow.
Joe Green, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Canadian?
One note samba. Yeah.
Yeah. Or not someone.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite songs.